Chances are, if you're watching my channel, you enjoy video games as much as I do. A way to escape reality and find something we have control in and actually enjoy. However, some video games take a different turn. Many people see video games as a form of art, a way to express yourself. And these people express themselves in quite a disturbing way. Whether it be gory games, or games that aren't disturbing on their own, but are made by horrible people. These are the top 10 most disturbing and controversial video games of all time. Postal 2. Starting off with a more satirical game, Postal 2 is a game made by Running with Scissors. You play as a man simply named the Postal Dude, and you carry out mundane activities in daily life, such as getting people to sign a petition, getting milk from the grocery store, and going to work. However, it's your choice on how you want to approach this game. You can be a simple civilian and go about your day, or you can go full Rambo mode and murder everyone who gets in your way. The game is quite disturbing in how many choices you're given. You can light someone on fire with a match, sick someone with a dog, beat them to death with a shovel, slice them in half with a scythe, or just straight up shoot them in the face. The amount of weapons this game gives you, it really is quite an accomplishment by the development team. This game and the next entry are high up here because they're not taken seriously. They're meant to be a satirical game making fun of the industry. The rest can't be said the same. Grezzo 2. Another game meant for satirical reasons, Grezzo 2 is an extremely violent shooter game made on the Doom engine. Originally starting out as a simple mod for Doom, it became its own title. The game is made by an Italian dev team who clearly wanted to make something just to piss people off, but it is genuinely a fun time to play. You simply go around causing as much mayhem as you can. The amount of weapons in this game is quite impressive. However, most of them are ripped from other Doom games. Where this game gained controversy was its sacrilegious depiction of several religious figures, such as Jesus Christ, who comes off of a cross to fight you as a boss battle. However, it's still quite a blast, and if you can get past the offensive imagery and depictions of women similar to the Grand Theft Auto franchise, it's a genuinely fun game to play. The rest of these entries, I would only recommend if you have a hard stomach. Moon Man Doom. Sadly, we've stepped out of the area of satire and humor, and have stepped into the realm where the developers genuinely believe the views they've portrayed in the game. Moon Man Doom is an extremely offensive game where you play as either the Moon Man, Zyklon Ben, or the certain German dictator. The game doesn't have anything special, it's mostly just a reskin of Doom. It has you going around killing minorities, feminists, and other people who are genuinely considered woke by 4chan and Twitter. If you genuinely use that word unironically, I suggest you get a life. This game is extremely offensive for its depictions of black people, Islamic people, and other people. Perhaps the most offensive character while it's debatable considering all three characters are extremely racist. The most offensive character is probably the Moon Man himself, who will go around praising several racist groups, as well as saying racial slurs that he cannot say. Though, considering this game literally allows you to play as a mass murderer, it's debatable on which character is the most offensive. I wouldn't recommend it. Manhunt. An obscure piece of Rockstar Games history, this game was made by Rockstar North back in 2003. The game has you play as James Earl Cash, a death row inmate who has been kept alive by a movie maker who has his own sick purposes for keeping him alive. As you play this game, you quickly learn that the movie maker wants James to participate in a snuff film that he is making for the underground market. The game gained massive controversy for its graphic depictions of execution, violence, and other horrific things. To think this was by the same studio that gave us masterpieces such as Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. What's even more sickening is its sequel, Manhunt 2, which was so graphic and violent. It was the first game released on a Nintendo console to get an adults-only rating, meaning the game wasn't allowed to be advertised or marketed. You just had to hope you came across it in a store. But most stores don't want to carry games that won't sell well. JFK Reloaded. I couldn't bring myself to play this game, so I'm going to be using footage from another YouTuber. Please check them out in the description. JFK Reloaded is a sickening and disgustingly offensive game where you play as Lee Harvey Oswald and you recreate the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. To think that someone could be so deprived and sick in the head that they would make fun of one of America's most tragic incidents of all time. It makes me sick. Several of the Kennedy family representatives have denounced this game, rightfully so. Zog's Nightmare. Another one I refuse to play. Zog's Nightmare is a neo-Nazi propaganda game made by a neo-Nazi group where you play as a neo-Nazi. Count how many times I say that. This game is little more than just propaganda or their hateful views, and I don't want to talk about it any further. I couldn't find much gameplay on this game, rightfully so, as nobody wants to play it. The only site I could find the game on was asking for $18, which is $18 more than I'd spend on this piece of crap. Ethnic cleansing. More propaganda. Ethnic Cleansing is a game made by Resistance Games, which is absolutely disgusting. The game has you going around killing minorities, such as black people, Mexican people, and Jewish people. All of them are stereotypical. Think Moon Man Doom and Zog's Nightmare mixed together into one crappy, offensive experience. Ironically enough, the game is made on the Genesis engine, which was also used for other religious propaganda games. I wouldn't recommend this one, or any of them, as they're all nothing but propaganda and methods for people to spread their sick, hateful beliefs. Demonophobia. Demonophobia is a game released in 2008 by an unknown developer. The game has you play as a 14-year-old girl named Sakuri, who is trapped in hell because of sins she has committed, and she must find her way out. As you progress through the game, you realize the developer probably had some sick and disgusting tastes and wanted to reflect those in a game. These death scenes are extremely graphic and disgusting, several of which end with Sakuri urinating herself. To think that this is happening to a 14-year-old girl who's probably done nothing wrong, at least not willingly, is absolutely terrifying to think of. Several of the graphic death scenes include falling into a pit of spikes and seeing her impaled body, getting crushed by a falling ceiling for taking a little orb you weren't supposed to take, getting beat to death by a giant red man, getting sliced in half by a butcher. Halfway through the game, Sakuri loses her clothes, and you have to finish the game without them, which is absolutely gross. Sadly, a few of the death scenes include assault in certain places. May I remind you, this is happening to a minor. It's clear the developer had some disgusting fetishes and wanted to express them in a game. However, there's a remake of this game being made by a new developer, which aims to remove all the sick fetish stuff, or at least put it behind a setting that you can disable. The Eric Harris Doom Mods. For those unfamiliar, mods created for Doom are known as .wad files, which you can extract into a Doom source port, such as GZ Doom or Zandronum. In 1996, someone known as Eric Harris created several maps, which weren't anything impressive. However, this entry isn't here for the content itself, but the person who made them. For those unfamiliar, Eric Harris was one of the shooters behind the Columbine High School shooting massacre, along with his friend Dylan Klebold. My condolences go out to the families and survivors who were affected by this horrible tragedy. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be in that situation. Several of the maps made by Eric Harris were nothing impressive. His most latest one, before the shooting, was UAC Labs. However, the FBI seized his computer, and most of the WADs were only discovered recently in 2019. However, some of them have still not seen the light of day because of their graphic and disturbing content. One of these WADs, which is presumably called Real Doom, is bragged about several times, both in a text file and the exit screen of his games. According to reports from the FBI, Real Doom was a recreation of the Columbine High School, meaning that him and Dylan probably practiced the shooting. You can tell from the text files he wasn't a very sane person to begin with, saying things like, "You may not change a damn thing with this wad. If you do, I will blow you up, and it will be cool. Ask for my awesome patch called realdoom.zip." The Coffin of Andy and Lele. You guys probably know this game, so I left it off the main list. But in short, it involves cannibalism, demonic sacrifice, and incest. Changed. Another one you guys probably know. It involves sick fetish stuff happening to a 15-year-old. Euphoria. A game I left off the main list because it's extremely disturbing, but it also is very simple, just being a visual novel. Hong Kong 97. Most of you probably know this game from Angry Video Game Nerd, but basically, it is a very bad bullet hell game made by Happy Soft, which features a real dead body in its game over screen, so I left it off the main list. Cry of Fear. Another one you probably know, but this is a very well-made game on the Gold Source engine. Originally starting as a Half-Life mod, it evolved into its own title, which is now on Steam for free. You play as a man named Simon, and you delve into his psyche and trauma that he has in his brain. The game features very well-made jump scares, good graphics for the Gold Source engine, and very horrific gameplay, very similar to any sort of survival horror games. I would actually recommend this one. And the #1 most disturbing video game of all time is Sad Satan. Originally uploaded to a YouTube channel known as Obscure Horror Corner, Sad Satan is perhaps the most disturbing video game of all time. You walk through monochromatic hallways as audio plays of interviews with serial killers such as Charles Manson, distorted and reversed. Occasionally images flash up of John F. Kennedy, Margaret Thatcher, and other people who were assassinated or killed. You're unable to move when these images flash on the screen. Several of them include horrible people who did unspeakable things to children, such as Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, and Tsutomu Miyazaki. According to Obscure Horror Corner, the person who sent them the game was only known as ZK, and they were operating on the dark web. They sent them the game through the Onion Router hidden service browser. After 4 episodes were uploaded, Obscure Horror Corner died. Well, the channel did. The person's fate is unknown, but the channel hasn't uploaded in 9 years. To make matters worse, a new version of the game was uploaded on 4chan, which contained horrific and absolutely disgusting images of mutilated corpses, dead bodies, autopsies, and real-life CP. The clone version also gave people's systems malware, so it was quickly taken down from 4chan's website. Chances are, if you still have this version of the game, you better throw it away and delete it before the police come knocking on your door for possession of CP.